I think every game that I've worked on, aside from Modern Warfare 2, had like a really drastic pivot moment where we go, okay, we've learned a lot, and it might look like a waste of time, but let's cut all the stuff that's not working and let's make a pretty giant change and go over here now. Like that's the entire story of Apex. Apex was not a project that was dreamed up and then we started working on it. We were working on something else. Someone prototyped this battle royale on Titanfall universe, and it was like, wait, let's go there now. And it was a huge shift. And that's like every game has had that, aside from MW2.
Was Apex kind of that story of just like, well, I guess we should probably check out battle royale? Was it met with enthusiasm out of the gate at the studio, or was there a little bit of like, okay, I guess everybody has to go for it. I guess we can try and make a battle royale?
There were a handful of people that were super into it. It was started because if you've watched any of our behind the scenes talking about development of Titanfall 2, talking about our action blocking process where we do all these small rapid prototyping. And it was like the summer of 2017, and a bunch of designers were rolling off of post-launch support for Titanfall 2, and they had their action block time. Like, go ahead, go crazy, go prototype whatever you want. And a level designer and a scripter made, it was called the Respawn Royale. It was going to be our take on Battle Royale, but it was very much just let's get Battle Royale stuff going in Titanfall world. And it was fun. It was crazy. Like the very first one I played, back then our engine couldn't do big maps. I think we capped out at 24 players, and we had no way of doing like a drop type of system. So it was all zip lines crisscrossing on the high ground of a map. And so you just go, and you'd zip line in, and then you'd drop wherever you wanted. And it was cool. It was cool. Getting some lively play tests, but once we had like squads with a really early version of ping and some character abilities, it started to like, oh, this is really fun. And then our playtests for the other stuff we were making, it was hard to get participants, and people would leave the playtests early. That's a really good sign that we're not on the right track.
Right.
So it was born out of two people going, let's go try this crazy thing that, we've been playing the Arma mods, like PUBG had just come out on PC, and they're like, this might be cool, let's try it out. And it was before Battle Royale was a juggernaut. We'd actually tried a version of it in Titanfall 2 a year or two prior, after Todd's kids got addicted to the Hunger Games in Minecraft. They were playing on some Minecraft server that had like a 16-player Hunger Games Battle Royale type mode, and they were just like stuck to it. So like, let's try this out. My kids like it, we'll try it. And we just didn't have time to finish it. But so we dabbled in it over the years, but this was the first time the whole
So there is a chance that Titanfall 2 would have done the Battle Royale before PUBG blew up? Is that what you're saying?
We called it survival, and it wasn't quite Battle Royale. It was more like one life and go find chests of stuff type of thing. It was quick rounds, but it was that kind of, every man for himself, one victor type of mode.
That's wild. And then I remember reading an interview with you, I think it was on Game Informer, where you were talking about the tough pitch to EA to greenlight Apex Legends. Can you walk me through that? And by the way, we're going to get to the new studio, but I'm just curious, since you bring up Apex Legends, I'm curious about that story.
This is actual game stuff.
Okay.
There wasn't actually like a pitch. It was a process. It was like a year of conversations, going up to Redwood Shores and talking to EA, like executives and marketing people. And, EA is really good at predicting the future for their games. Like they have sales analysis, they have forecasts, they go do lots of user research where they talk to players and see what's resonating with them and what's not. And so we had to do a lot of that on this change of what we were making. And it was scary. It was not what they necessarily signed up for. I was pushing for crazy stuff, like making it free to play. And so it wasn't just like hey, here's a really good idea, let's go do it. It was let's walk you through the process and the thinking behind it. And we had it was such a drastic change from anything EA had done before or Respawn that everyone was just kind of like, I guess, it looks like it might be a good idea, but we don't even know. To the point where when we shipped, we were like, maybe we'll get 1 million people in the first month. And we got 1 million people in 8 hours. So there's just no way to predict what was going to happen. And that was the hardest part for EA to kind of get over the hump and give the thumbs up for the whole idea.
At what point in the industry was this? There wasn't a point where you could just pull down a giant sheet that just had the Fortnite dollar signs on it? Like,
yes, you can do that because 6 months into Fortnite, it was pretty obvious that game was a multi-billion-dollar behemoth. But it's really easy to look at other games and be like, yeah, but like they hit the market this way. They're a super cartoony game. They have building. Maybe building was their secret sauce. It's like there's been games like this before that flop entirely, and then there's a trail of games that have tried to just jump on the Battle Royale bandwagon and they didn't succeed.
yeah.
So there's also a lot of counter arguments there because Fortnite is something that was easily seen as an exception to the rule, as opposed to something that you could say, yeah, this is a low risk bet. And so in the world of publicly traded companies, a risk that is that large is not easy to swallow.
So what pushed them over the edge? What do you think was finally giving up the green light?
Well, we did lots of play tests. I was always willing, so when we were independent, before we got bought by EA, working on Titanfall and Titanfall 2, I think I got the reputation as the no guy within EA, because I'd always tell everyone at EA no. Like, no, we won't send you a build. No, I'm not sending you screenshots. No, like, unless you're on our EA production team, no, I'm not going to tell you what game we're working on. And only a few people got to even see Titanfall games before they were publicly announced from within EA. And so during Apex, knowing that it required to get a lot more momentum within EA as an organization, I was like, well, come on out. We do a playtest every day. And I will hook you up and I will spend an hour showing you the game. And I was willing to just kind of be that salesman over and over and over. So they would send their people that they believed in to come play the game. There's always like, we all have friends. They're like, oh, if so-and-so really likes this movie, I'm probably going to like it too.
Right.
And so executives and VPs, they all have their game people within EA. They're like, oh, go send them down. Let's get their feedback. And then we were doing user research. We would go do play tests where we bring in 100 people and they'd play a play test for like 2 days straight. And then we do a lot of surveys with them, get feedback. And every time we did it, the scores were going up and up and up to the point where it was, I think, the best testing game pre-release they'd had since like Battlefield 3 or something like that, something from a while ago. And so they were like, okay, all the signs are good here, but it was still just, it was a process. There was a lot of trust and there was a lot of tenacity on Respawn's side to just be like, no, this is what we're doing. We believe in it and we're going to push it.
Do you think there was some reluctance from them because you've been keeping them at such a distance? Like if they were involved the entire way, would they be more on board with it? But is it a little bit like, well, F you guys for keeping us at arm's length, so we'll see how it goes for the green light here?
No, the relationship was actually really solid. Like they weren't trying to get in. They were just when you're part of a bigger organization, there's this sense of openness. So which I saw a lot once we got purchased by EA and I was more involved with them. So they're used to being able to reach out to people at other studios and get a morsel. And so to have me as a producer on an independent, studio title, big deal. They're keeping themselves separate. That's fine. But no, EA always actually had a lot of faith in what we were doing on all 3 of the games we worked on for them. It was more just, it came out of left field. Which we had gotten kind of, I think EA got a little used to, like Titanfall 1, the final hours of Titanfall that Jeff Keighley did.
Yeah. Showed
off like the single player prototyping we did. And I vividly remember the milestone review with our producer at EA when I was like, oh yeah, by the way, single player's cut. And like, what? That's not what we expected. And so got used to these kind of hard conversations where we have to lay out why we're making these choices. And then they can see the result of it. Titanfall 2 development was also wild and crazy and lots of twists and turns. And so I think through those processes, EA got to the point where like, okay, Respawn's insane, but the results are worth it. And so they kind of just put up with it, even though it's maybe a little bit uncomfortable for them, but it was ultimately, they let us do what we wanted to do.
That's really impressive. Yeah, the launch of Apex, I'm obsessed with messaging and how the game's revealed, and that entire turnaround was amazing. And specifically, I remember talking about on the Game Informer show, you had a quote to Eurogamer. If I may read your quote back to you, Drew.
Let's do it. I love hearing my own words.
Great, and I'm going to do my best Drew as well. No, so you said, we're doing a free-to-play game with essentially loot boxes after we were bought by EA, and it's not Titanfall 3. It's the perfect recipe for a marketing plan to go awry, so why have that? Let's just ship the game and let players play. That was one of those like amazing things, like when you see that kind of messaging from technically within EA, it's just like, oh, thank God. Okay, they get it. They know exactly what they're dealing with. And it puts gamers' hearts at ease, I feel like.
And that was honestly the sales pitch internally as well. When they're like, wait, you want to give it away? Like, but so we could, it doesn't have to be $60. We could sell this for $20. Like PUBG is selling for $30. Like there was all sorts of like alternative scenarios. And I was like, well, you can't. The optics are so important here. We have a great game that we believe in beyond anything else. It's gonna work. Like there was faith there, and like honestly, I feel like I put my job on the line. If that game did not hit, I probably wouldn't have been there anymore.
And you'd have to go form your own studio.
Of belief.
Yeah.
Was that?
I said, then you have to go form your own studio. It'd be tragic.
Yeah, well, I mean, things happen anyways.
MinnMax is a Patreon about games, friends, and getting better. The Deepest Dive is the best, most thorough discussions about games on the internet. Prove us wrong, please. The MinnMax Show podcast airs every Thursday. Patreon supporters vote on what we stream every single week, and a whole lot more. Give us a shot, try subscribing to the YouTube channel, and we hope we can win you over.